Misfits, people ask me all the time about tools that I use in my life and business to maximize my success. I usually start by telling them one of my most powerful tools is my morning habits. And of course, they look at me somewhat confused. I then explain how important it is for me to center myself and how I begin my day and plan for my success. It's critical to consistent high performance. And it doesn't take me long, about 5 or 10 minutes, because I use a great resource called the 5-Minute Journal. The 5-Minute Journal is the simplest, most effective way I've ever found to start your day in the right mindset, doing the right things, and set yourself up for success. And it is exactly what it says, a 5-minute exercise you can do each day. Let me ask you, if you could reach your next level in your life and business by spending just 5 minutes of focused time a day, would you do it? I bet you would. And I know it works because I've experienced the power of it. And you can get your 5-minute journal simply by going to www.misfitentrepreneur.com/journal. That's misfitentrepreneur.com/journal. Do what I do. Use this amazing resource to give yourself an edge in your performance and your success. Get your 5-minute journal today.
Hello, Misfit Entrepreneurs. This is Dave Lukas, and welcome to another episode of the Misfit Entrepreneur, where it's our job to help you unleash your inner misfit and break through to higher levels of success, wealth, and fulfillment by bringing you the best insight and information from the world's top entrepreneurs, with a specific focus on their misfit side, the specific traits, habits, and secrets that have allowed them to thrive and succeed. As a reminder, if you're new to watching us on our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button below. Give this video a like and comment as well. We do our best to respond to all comments as timely as possible. This week's Misfit Entrepreneur is John Garrett. He's a keynote speaker, award-winning author, consultant, and the creator of the powerful concept known as what you are and. And if you're looking for the real X factor on how to build a culture where people actually perform at their best, feel connected, and really bring their whole selves to work, John is the guy you need to hear from. He started his career as a CPA before breaking the mold, quite literally, by becoming a national touring comedian. That's an interesting thing, CPA to comedian, right? You don't see that every day. And that's what really sparked his groundbreaking discovery, which is people are more than their job titles. Organizations that embrace their employees outside of work and those passions that they have, what he calls their ands, build stronger cultures, retain talent longer, and unlock levels of performance and engagement most leaders never tap into. He's worked with companies like PwC, AstraZeneca, Microsoft. He's spoken on TEDx stages and written the bestseller, What's Your And? But his message is simple and transformative. We perform better when we bring all of who we are to what we do. And for entrepreneurs and business owners looking to build thriving, winning cultures, John's frameworks are pure gold. So I've personally spent time with John and seen him present his concepts live. His insights are like right on point. His stories resonate, and the applications for leaders are absolutely immense and immediate. So awesome to have him on. John, are you ready to unleash your inner misfit?
I'm so excited for this, Dave. Thank you so much for having me be a part of this.
Well, you don't know this. We're recording this a few weeks before the end of the year, but I'm kicking off the year with this episode because I think the concepts that you are going to talk about today are so important for building a great company. And what better way to start off your year in a company by building a great culture? So why don't you take a couple minutes and excuse me while I get my drink and just tell the audience your story. Take 5 minutes. Just tell us, how'd you get to where you're at?
Yeah, it's wild how in the moments, it felt like a craziest roller coaster of all time, Cedar Point level. But then you look backwards and it's a straight line. This had to happen for this. This had to happen for this. This had to happen for me to be on Dave Lukas's podcast. That's pretty much it. I've self-actualized. But I graduated from the University of Notre Dame. I went to Notre Dame to be engineering. Something engineering, and got a D in physics. And my birthday's on April 15th, and I have limited social skills. So accounting was for me. That was it. So I moved over to business and graduated with an accounting degree, went to PwC and did a lot of internal audit, merger acquisition type work. Never tax, ever. Didn't even go to the tax floor. Still don't know how taxes work. And and then was doing that for several years, really doing well. Hand selected to be on the largest financial services client that PwC had, was doing great. But then picked up a little bit of a hobby of doing stand-up comedy at night just for fun. Is a creative outlet, very different part of my brain, part of who I was. But it was something inside me that needed to be fed. And so it was that. And so, yeah, I was just doing it for fun, and then started to get paid, started to take vacation to get paid. And then I was like, hey, wait a minute, like, this could be a thing. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a job type of a thing. And so then it was just kind of a perfect storm of a lot of things where I was leaving my corporate job anyway. And I was like, well, let's just give it a go and run as fast as I can to achieve, I refer to it as escape velocity, because, the Earth's orbit and the gravitational pull, like steady paychecks and health benefits and sanity and just a routine and a hierarchy and, KPIs to get promoted and structure, all of that. That's a tremendous gravitational pull when that's all you've been raised in.
Sure.
Literally from all through school and work and everything. And so was fortunate enough to be able to break out and to do it full time, move to New York City. Along the way, I wrote 2 Emmy nominated award shows. I have a comedy album on Sirius and XM. Been on the Bob and Tom show a dozen times, which is a huge radio show in the Midwest. And yeah, opened for Louis Anderson, opened for the band Train, hanging out with Leno. Opened for Tosh several times. I mean, just crazy stories. Tom Wilson, who was Biff from Back to the Future, worked with him a lot. And so all over the country and doing all the comedy clubs, theaters, and whatever. And then had some near misses when I lived in New York City that would be awesome to tell you about that I had done. But, when you're on the radar for Letterman, and then Letterman announces he's going to retire, well, now you're not going to get on Letterman. And then I had interviewed for the Colbert Report, which was right after the Daily Show with Jon Stewart was Colbert Report. And so that was pretty much going to happen. I was going to be a field producer at Colbert Report, manage all the projects that go outside of the studio. I have the accountant brain to stay on budget. I have the creative brain to, hey, let's just shoot this also, even though it's not in the script, because I think it'll be funny. And and then everyone froze when Letterman said he was retiring. And then, of course, Colbert takes over for Letterman. So now Comedy Central is like, well, we don't care about anything right now. So nothing new. And so that's when I decided to just take my talents elsewhere. And I married corporate John with comedy John. And that's where the keynote speaking came from. So now I've been on stage over 2,400 times, all over. And and along the way, I was speaking at a conference, mostly emceeing really. And a guy, a tax accountant, came up to the meeting professional and said, I know John Garrett. That's the guy who did comedy at night. And she comes up to me and is like, oh, do you know Mark Bumgarner? And I'm like, no, never. That's a weird name, and I've never heard that one before. And she said, well, he knows you, and tells me, he saw all the names, and right away says, oh, I know John Garrett. And so I'm like, that's crazy. I look on LinkedIn, we're not connected, and I've never met him. He was in my first PwC office 12 years before that, and in the tax department. So I never went to the tax floor. I never met Mark. I never worked with Mark. I don't know who Mark is outside of this little tiny circle on LinkedIn. And so that's when I started to realize, like, wow, he didn't remember me for all this amazing stuff that was on my resume. He remembered me for a hobby that I did for fun outside of work. And so I started to ask people, like, hey, do you have a hobby outside of work? Yeah. Does anyone at work know about it? No. Because there isn't a charge code to, socialize, or we don't get paid to get to know each other, or that's not my job. It has nothing to do with work and all of this. And so that's when I started, it's what's your and. It's not what's your or. It's not like you're
Right.
a CPA or a comedian. It's like, no, you're all the things. You're all of the things all the time. It's just, certain parts of you are front facing at the moment, but, the other parts are still there, kind of like a dice. You roll a dice and, the one number is up, but the other 5 numbers are still there. And, we go through life thinking that the other sides don't exist. And with ourselves when we're at work, and then our coworkers, and as a leader, the people that report to us, it's all about output and work and work and work. And there's more to who we are.
Well, that's the thing too. You crystallize it really well in hearing you speak, and we're going to get it. I mean, I love the story because it's a true misfit entrepreneur story, but like most people, what do you lead with? Like, you lead with, here's what I do. What do you do? What do you do? That's what most people lead with, but that's not really who they are. Right. So let's actually unpack that. Right. Because you just said a second ago, we're more than our job titles. So take us through what's your and philosophy, and how entrepreneurs, business leaders should use it in their organizations.
I mean, it starts just at the individual level, first of all, but just really, who else are you? I mean, the odds that you became a human being and exist on Earth are so astronomically crazy. And then you get here and you're like, you know what? I'm just going to spend all my waking hours doing accounting or law
Well,
or
hey, pause
engineering.
on that real quick because I've done this, and like if you go do Google the math, it's 1 in 4 trillion. That's your
One in
chances
four
of being
trillion.
alive.
Yeah,
One in
that's a
four
lot of
trillion.
commas, like a lot of
It's a
zeros.
lot of commas.
I mean, better odds at winning the Powerball, let's just
Yeah,
say,
much better
multiple
odds.
times, I would imagine even. And so, and so that's, and so just who else are you? And really embracing that and realizing like, oh, that matters, because the things that we do, for money, there's a reward there, there's the money. The things that we do where we spend money to go do those things, or we just do them for the pure joy of it, or volunteering or whatever, then that's a deeper thing that matters. So where, it's something that you do, well, I'm passionate about helping my clients, da, 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 da. Not really. If they stopped paying you, I think your passion would wane pretty quickly. But, I'm passionate about playing the piano. Am I amazing at it? No, I'm not. But I enjoy it, and I'm not doing it for you anyway. I'm doing it for me. So, with the, people that are marathon runners, I'm doing it for me. Don't ask me my time. Who cares? I mean, I'm not here to win the Boston Marathon and be in the Olympics. I'm here to run a marathon, and I'm doing it for me, and so that's the thing is, there's the work you, don't abandon that. There's a family you, don't abandon that. But there's a you that's just you. And that you existed before work. You even knew what that was before family, and you even knew what that was. That you existed before you had a name, if you want to get really deep. And, what are the things that light you up, on a soul level? The kind of things that if I said, hey, you can't do that again, you'd be like, man, that's going to sting. Ouch. And as an entrepreneur, I get it. You're passionate about your work and what you're building and what you're doing, but you have to have something outside of that, because if your whole identity is wrapped up in your work, anxiety is going to be very, very high.
Mm.
And the odds that you spiral into a depression is also very high, because
Right.
your whole identity is wrapped up in work. And so, one small hiccup or a blow, to your ego, and then all of a sudden you're just lost. I don't even know who I am anymore. And I, my whole sense of value and purpose is gone. And, there was a study done at Duke University where they found that, yeah, people that have more dimensions to their life are less prone to anxiety and have a greater sense of belonging. And, that matters.
So how does a leader, how does an entrepreneur or anybody who's in a leadership position tap into this with like their team and those that they lead, and use it to make a better culture, make a difference in people's lives, use it to maybe improve themselves as a leader?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, any way you want, but some ways that I've seen it, and the phrase that I always say is just value the worker as much as you value the work. We value the work so much that, we're looking at the output and managing output, and even in professional services worlds, there's a dollar amount per hour of a charge, like, billable hours. And so really looking at, just valuing the work, and that starts with valuing yourself, but then valuing the people around you. Just, it's almost like instead of being a mechanic and trying to get cogs to fit in the machine and just keep the machine humming to just spitting out, it's being more of a gardener. And really just a gardener doesn't go out and yell at the crops and make sure all the crops are perfect and look exactly the same. And, the gardener just tills the soil and creates that fertile ground to allow the crops to do what they do. And as a leader, that's really it, is just blow out the barricades and create that fertile ground to allow your people to do what they do and to be fully activated human beings. So instead of managing output, let's look at managing humans and cultivating them and getting them to live their best life. And that comes down to many things, but one simple thing is just when you do your annual goals for the year, it's always, what training are we going to send you to? And, where do we want to see you? What skills do we need you to develop over the next year? Blah, 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 whatever. That's great. But I prefer to ask two questions. What would you love to do more of here? And how can I help you do that? And then the one that we ought to never do is, what can I help you do? What would you love to do more of outside of work? And how can I help you do that? And that's what matters, is just, hey, I want to go to 2 concerts, or I want to go to 1 college football game, or I want to volunteer 10 times at the dog shelter. Okay, let's get the calendar out and let's figure this out. Because if you have someone that works for you and what lights them up is, whatever, painting, and they haven't painted in 10 years, then they're not a very good contributor to your organization, because their life is in shambles. I mean, they're not their fully activated self. And so
well,
really,
you can't
just how do
truly
we make
connect
sure
with them
that-
as a leader. You can't really truly connect with them as a leader unless you understand them. I mean, understand the whole them, right? Because that's
Yeah,
what
exactly.
leaders
I
are
mean,
missing.
they're
They're
human
missing
beings.
they understand the work piece, but they don't understand the whole person.
Right.
I think that's
And
the thing, right?
like, people's hobbies and passions and interests have expertise that they can bring to work beyond those college degrees and certifications. Everyone's got the same degrees and same level of work talent, but all of
Well,
a sudden you have somebody that's a lead singer of a cover band. Well, maybe you should give some presentations because you're in front of an audience. That's what you love to do.
Yep.
Somebody loved the 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzles. Well, we've got this gnarly, complex puzzle problem that we need untangled. That's probably for you. So just understanding what is it that lights someone up, and what kind of clients are they working on. If you're in professional services world, this client makes the kind of thing that you brew beer at home. This client is a brewery. You should probably work on them, type of a thing. And
this is
it
really
makes
important because, this is like how you align the talents, the full talents of your teams with your business to achieve a much higher level of success. I want to call that out.
Yeah.
I mean, keep going, but that's important.
But people also are like, oh yeah, but it works for clients. And of course it does. It works for client relationships too. It makes it very sticky. Like, if you're way into brewing beer and you have a brewery as a client, well, not just anyone can come in and, steal them. I mean, anyone can come in and do the same work, but they're not going to get it. They're not going to have that relationship on a deeper level. And it doesn't have to be crazy deep. It just has to be just half step below surface level of just, hey, what do you do for fun? Like, who else are you? Type of a thing. And I promise people want to talk about that more than the work every time.
The last time I saw you speak, it was really cool because what you had this like interactive word cloud thing that you had the audience do, and they would pop in all their ands, right?
Yeah.
And you would start calling out some of these like unique ands and stuff. From an example standpoint, just like, what are some of the most unique ands that you've kind of heard along the way as you've done this?
Well, that one in particular, there was Santa. I was like, all right. There was a guy that semi-professional bocce. Like he has a jersey.
I think he was a professional bocce,
or professional. My bad.
I think a guy has jerseys that people buy or something like that.
Yeah. And then I have a podcast of hundreds and hundreds of professionals that have been on of hobbies and passions outside of work. I mean, there's stained glass. There's a guy that started a farm animal sanctuary. There's, of course, the golfers and the runners and, the hikers, but then there's, like volunteer type people. There's, all kinds. I mean, and that's it. It doesn't have to be world record breaking. I had someone on that at one point held the land speed record for vintage motorcycles on the salt flats in Utah. And she has a outsourced, CFO firm in Chicago called Office Heads. But, just all kinds of people that just do other things besides work. Like the fact that we legit think that all the people around us just go home and sit around waiting to come back to work. And then we get to work and it's like, hey, how was your weekend? Fine. What'd you do? Nothing. And then you find out, wait, what? You went scuba diving or you went, how did you not? Just the other day I was on a plane and somebody next to me.
You won the international bocce.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like I had dinner across from that dude for like 2 hours. I mean, it was a table of 10 or so, but still never once did bocce even accidentally come up. I mean, it was like, what are you waiting? Like, this is crazy. I would have much rather talked about that than whatever we did talk about, like, which is completely forgettable. And that's the other piece of it too, is like, people think that, well, I'm the best expertise, whatever. No, you're not, first of all. And second of all, no one cares because 6 months from now, someone else is going to be doing your job in your chair and, it's completely forgettable. But what isn't forgettable is, those technical skills and the human. So, just bring that human out from behind the job title just a little bit. And just, that combination is completely, makes a difference in such a
It's an excellent point. It leads into some of the topics I want to talk about next, which are more applications in business, but also some of the other things that you've learned along this journey. We're going to do that. I'm going to take just a quick 1-minute break. We'll be right back and we'll jump in. Misfit Entrepreneurs, I want to tell you about an amazing resource that will have tremendous impact on your business and your revenue. I have used this solution in multiple businesses and it has made an incredible difference. Let me start by asking you something. Do you know how much it costs your business when just one salesperson doesn't step up to deliver? Do you really know? The cost can easily exceed 6 figures for just one bad hire, not just from the time, effort, and resources in hiring them, but from the lost business and downtime as well, as you have to go find a new salesperson and everything surrounding that. And the last thing any growing business can afford is to have a failed hire, especially in sales, the revenue driver for the company. But what if there was a way to know someone checked all the boxes of a great sales hunter and closer before you ever hired them? That's the solution that I found from a company called Sales Drive. They have created a solution called Drive Test. It's a powerful hiring tool that separates high-performance salespeople from pretenders by measuring the most critical personality trait needed for success in sales: drive. Drive is composed of 3 non-teachable traits shared by all top producers: the need for achievement, competitiveness, and optimism. And knowing who has drive before the interview dramatically increases your chances of selecting salespeople who will produce for you while avoiding those costly bad hires. I've used the solution and it works. In fact, it works so well, I've referred them to every company that I work with. And they've created a very special offer so that you can try them for free as well. You can get a free drive test assessment today at www.misfitentrepreneur.com/sales drive. That's misfitentrepreneur.com/sales drive, all one word. Start using the drive test in your hiring and never hire a bad salesperson again. All right, so John, you've worked major companies around the world. You've kind of seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, if you will. What are some of the biggest cultural mistakes that you see entrepreneurs and leaders make today? Obviously, besides not understanding people's ands.
Yeah, I think it's just having upside down priorities, where you started out where you just were like, hey, I think I have a thing and I'm going to go get some clients. And so clients were at the top. And then, man, I got a lot of clients. I need to get some people, but the clients, always at the top. And then I'm going to accidentally care a little bit about my people, but man, the clients, always clients. And I challenge you to turn that upside down. Turn that upside down and see what happens. Care about your people, like genuinely love your people, like be like, wow, this is an amazing team and I absolutely love them. And then you know what's going to happen? You're going to get more and better people. And then the clients will fall in place. Putting people first is actually client first. Because if you have people that aren't excited to be there, don't believe in what they're doing, aren't fully activated as a human being, then their client service is going to suffer. Their work product is going to suffer. And so if you just flip it upside down, you're going to have to pass go. You're going to have to collect $200. You're going to be profitable. Succession planning, client service, is consistent. All these things will happen if you just put your people first. Just, hey, how can I help you live your best life? What is your dream job and how can I help you get it? And then they'll stay longer and they'll care more because they know that you care about them and getting them to where they want to be. Instead, it's a secret. And I didn't even know you wanted to leave. And then they're gone. And now you're like 6 to 9 months before you get somebody hired and back up to speed. And it's a mess.
When people love what they do, it naturally flows through into everything around them. So, when somebody really enjoys and loves what they do and is in a great place, it's naturally that they're going to take better care of customers and everything. So flipping it on its head like that makes total sense. And you're right. People don't think of it that way. Leaders, entrepreneurs don't. It's more top down versus bottom up, I guess, in that sense.
Right.
And we need to. In fact, now that you've helped a lot of companies and organizations kind of embrace this, like what I guess has that done for like employee retention, engagement, productivity that you've seen for organizations that really kind of
It's been really cool
adopt
to
it?
see. Yeah, it's been really cool to see how it manifests itself in each organization. Because what works at a manufacturing company isn't going to work at an accounting firm. And what works at, a law firm in Boston isn't going to work at a law firm in LA, type of a thing. And so it's been neat to see how different organizations run with it in their own way, but I have seen clients that I've done the connected culture system with, they actually, one, had to let internal recruiter go because she just wasn't having to recruit as much because their turnover was significantly reduced and they were keeping the right people longer. And she absolutely loves What's Your An and is all about it. And she was actually kind of like bittersweet about it, but she was excited because she's like, look, it works. And this is amazing. I have another accounting firm that I did a lot of work with where they went from 4 offices to now 10 in about 3 years difference, and grown exponentially. Just people want to come and be a part of an organization that cares about you as a person. I mean, people can tell, and then clients want to have those people work on it. It just matters now. And it's not just people that care about their work, like you said earlier. It's also just people that are excited to be alive, and they care about the people around them. I care that you do the things that light you up because there's an energy and when they're talking about it, and it's infectious, and you want to be around those people.
Yeah, no, it's an absolute, when you talk it through like that, it's very logical. It's just amazing. Like, it's not the business, it's not done, right? Logically, it makes sense, but it's like the exact opposite how a lot of businesses approach it.
Yeah.
Kind of to that too, a lot of it starts with the leadership themselves. And you kind of mentioned this earlier. I want to come back to it because I think people listening to this are like, yeah, I've kind of forgotten that part about myself, or I don't like take the time to actually let it really resonate. So, like, what advice would you give to an entrepreneur or a leader who feels like they maybe have lost themselves in their business and wants to reconnect with their and?
Yeah, I get this a lot after I speak at conferences and people come up and want to talk. And the first thing I would say, and the most important thing, is just give yourself some grace. The current way of being got you here. I mean, you're successful. You're doing it. Pat yourself on the back. Like, it's all right. Don't beat yourself up over this. It's okay. And just hug yourself a little bit. And then, but now So really just start to think about, if I could, what would I do? Like, what could I just, not for money, not for fame, not for status, not for anything. Just, what do I want to do today? Type of a thing, or what would I want to do next year? Or if you've forgotten that much, which is fair because things go dormant and then extinct, is think back to when you were a kid, or when you were in high school or college, or just after college before maybe you got married and had a family and all those things. What are those things I used to love to do? And if it's play basketball and I don't want to play basketball because my knees will explode because I'm older now, well, you can watch basketball, you can coach basketball, you can just be around basketball. I mean, there's ways that you can nurture it, and it doesn't have to go from 0 to 100. I spoke at a conference over the summer, and a guy came up after mid-60s, super well-dressed, really sharp. And right when he stepped up to me, he got emotional. Like, you could just see it well up in his eye. And he said, I made a lot of money, but so what? And I was like, hey man, just hold on. You did it, man. You're doing great. Like, it's amazing. It served a purpose. And he said, I absolutely love to golf, but this year I've only played 27 holes, which, if you're not a golfer, that's not a lot, in case you're wondering. 1.5 rounds of golf in the year. And I said, well, here's the deal. You don't have to fly to Pebble Beach and play 3 rounds. And, you don't, just go to the range and hit a small bucket of balls. That's it. Like, give yourself like 10, 15 minutes, grab your 7-iron. You don't even have to bring your whole bag, and just go get a small bucket of balls and whack away. Like, that's it. Like, and if you shank every single one of them, who cares? Like, You're not Tiger Woods. You're not out here trying to win a PGA championship. Like, you're just a dude that likes golf. All right, then go do that. And so, just baby steps into what are those things? And it doesn't have to be something that you're all in on, like, well, I like a bunch of things. Okay, well then make time for one of them and then make time for another one, and sometimes they're seasonal. So then just make sure that in the winter you go skiing one time. That's it.
The key, the
Be a little bunny
keys to
bill,
just take the
whatever.
action. Like you said, it's
Yeah.
even if it's a small action, kind of unlocks you from the jam that you've been in, just even a little bit of action. And that works for anything. It's momentum, right? I think in the
Yeah.
end, it's like you have to gain momentum from a starting, stop or stalled position. And
That's
so,
exactly it. I
and
mean,
then
you have
it just
a
builds.
muscle that's atrophied. So you got to like build it up. Yeah, absolutely.
So more about you too, though, as I think about this, because, you've obviously seen this in so many ways and stuff and changed careers, did all that stuff. But comedy is a huge thing for you, right? It's one of your ands, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And I always I'm an athlete and stuff, and I look at parallels between business and things like that. But like, what has your comic career taught you about business and life?
Uh,
Like, what are the lessons you've learned?
So much. I mean, like for instance, that there's no barrier to entry. I mean, you could today just be like, I'm a comedian, and then, all right, I guess. I mean, you don't need a degree, you don't need a certification, you don't need approval, you don't need peer recognition. It's just, hey, I'm going to go do comedy, and then you just go and do it, and then you just work hard and try to get better at it.
Total ADD offshoot moment on this, because you'll find this funny.
Yeah.
You might be able to use it, right? So my wife and I, like a week ago, we're watching TV and we flipped on the Ancient Alien show.
Okay.
Have you ever seen that show? It's like been on forever.
No.
It's like on the History Channel and stuff like that, right?
Okay. Oh, okay. All right.
And so it's just like one of those shows where there's like theories about everything, about like the pyramids and all that stuff.
Yeah,
right? It's
sure.
all about
Okay.
aliens, right? And they got all these like experts, right? And everything. And they're all called ancient astronaut theorists, right?
Right. There
and
you
so
go.
like throughout the show, it's like ancient astronaut theorists believe this, ancient astronaut theorists believe that. And I look at my wife and I'm like, how do I become an ancient astronaut theorist? And so we hit ChatGPT and we're like, how do we become an ancient astronaut theorist? And it's like, well, it's not a formal designation. You don't go to class. You don't have to go to school for it. And I'm like, my wife's like, so I can call myself an ancient astronaut theorist? And it's like, yes, you absolutely can. So
yeah,
long story short, by the time we're done, my wife and I are now ancient astronaut theorists. And we also have a full plaque, created a full like badge of certificate that we are ancient astronaut theorists that we now have on the wall. So,
there you go.
So I can be a comedian too.
That's exactly it. I mean, that's it. That's it. I mean, it's that. It's also, that, create what you want to create, and then you'll find the right audience and people will find you. If you're always trying to write the jokes to make someone else happy, or always trying to appease others, or create the product or do the thing, then, you'll never get there, because you'll just always be going in circles trying to do that. Another huge thing is just be original, be unique, be different. In comedy, we already have, name your favorite comedian, whoever. We already have a Bill Burr. We already have a Dave Chappelle. We already have a Nate Bargatze. We already have Ryan Hamilton. We don't need another version of that that's going to be watered down and terrible. We need the version that's you. So bring you to it. Could you imagine if Nate Bargatze was trying to be Brian Regan? Like, that would be terrible. Like, it would be awful. And so, it's just, be the version of you that's what you want to be. I found that out when I worked with Daniel Tosh. He does stuff that is super, like,
yes,
if it was anyone else, they'd be canceled in a minute.
Yeah.
But he somehow is able to jump into these things and get out without any issues at all. But he's doing it because he thinks it's funny. And he honestly, you almost reach a point where you don't care. Like, I'm so confident in this, and I'm just telling you. I'm not even asking you to laugh. I'm just telling you to laugh. Like, that's where we're at on this. And, my product and my service and whatever, like, it's been proven. Like, I know it works. Take it or leave it. I don't need you to take it. You don't want it? Cool. I'm out. I got other people, like, type of a thing. And, but then there's also a constant hustle, and, you have 52 weeks that you got to fill, you got to, whatever. And, there's a business, it's show business. So you have to be good at what you do, but you also have to run a business, and you have to also be profitable, and you have to know what you're doing on that side of things. So, I mean, the resilience of it all, piecing it all together, also just having faith that it'll all work out. I mean, I jumped off the plank literally of and into the giant ocean and, or even just outer space even. And because there's no gravity, there's no anything, there's no up or down or nothing. And you figure it out, and if you're an entrepreneur and you're like, it's really hard and it's, well, then it's okay to say, you know what? I don't think this is for me. I learned a lot. And I mean, I don't do stand up anymore. I've been to 3 comedy shows in 8 years since I left corporate or left comedy rather. But, like, I don't even remember. Oh yeah. But that doesn't mean that the skills that I developed in my years of doing comedy are definitely super helpful now for, the keynote speaking. I mean, meeting planners like, oh, it's a room full of attorneys. I don't just start it. I promise you, like, it's a game of chicken and I'm going to win. So like, just go, just go. Like I've done a crazy number of shows and done crazy audience. Like, I mean, just start it. I promise it's not going to be that. So like, let's just go. And, you just realize like what you can handle and what you can do. And just taking those talents elsewhere, it doesn't mean that you failed. It just means that, there's a higher and better use for the skills that I have. And really it's combining all those parts of me makes me significantly stronger, kind of Voltron style, for anyone that's my age.
I love it. That would be a great place to end the episode before your Misfit 3, but I do have one more question for you before we get to that.
Yeah.
And that is, what's your latest and?
My latest and, I guess, would probably be, I picked up rowing, like a rower, and I never thought I'd be a rower. Like there's a stigma in my mind of rowers, kind of like this Ivy League, whatever, like, the whatever the Winklevoss twins from, from the Facebook movie. But it's an indoor rower. I'm not on the water. I don't know any rowers. I don't, but it's very efficient and it's kind of fun. So I'm not like super passionate about it though, but it is something that I do that I'm like, all right, it's part of the routine and there we go. It's a thing, but I mean, it's good. It'll take a little time for it to get up into the starting lineup of my heavy hitters, but yeah.
Awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that. It's a great segue to get your Misfit 3. So we're going to do just one more 1-minute break. We'll be right back with John's Misfit 3.
Before we get into today's Misfit 3, I want to take a minute to talk to you about a free resource available to you from the Misfit Entrepreneur, the Misfit Minute. The Misfit Minute is the free weekly resource packed with useful tips, tricks, and information from the world of Misfit entrepreneurs. It not only includes further resources on the week's Misfit Entrepreneur guest, but additional links, articles, and resources to help you be more successful. It's delivered every Friday to your inbox. To sign up, all you have to do is go to the homepage at www.misfitentrepreneur.com and you will see the Misfit Minute sign-up page. Don't miss out on this great resource and all it has to help you. Sign up today and look for it this Friday.
Okay, it's time for John's Misfit 3. These are the 3 things that he wants you to take that you can put in your life, your business, make a difference for yourself starting today. And the way that I always frame this to every guest that comes on the show is I say, hey, look, if you're going to leave this earth tomorrow and you could only leave behind your 3 best pieces of wisdom for the generations to come after you, what would those 3 things be? So, John, what are your Misfit 3?
Yeah, I think one of them would be that you are enough. I mean, just hard stop. You don't need the certifications or the degrees or someone else's approval or whatever. Just you are enough. That's it. Take it and run. Go. Be great. Be amazing. Another one that I would say is if you being awesome makes someone else uncomfortable, that's their problem and not yours. It's okay to be awesome at a lot of things. Go do that. And if it makes someone feel uncomfortable or you can't be great at a lot of things, that's on them. That's on them. It's not on you. So don't play small to fit into someone else's game or someone else's perception of what they think you're supposed to be. Just be awesome. And the third one, and probably the most important thing, is for the history of forever, anyone in the future, Notre Dame should never be in a conference. Notre Dame football should be independent forever. And I will die on that hill and millions of other people. So that is the most important thing probably for us to ever ever take away from this.
For all you diehard Notre Dame fans out there. Awesome, John. That's a great Misfit 3. Thanks for sharing that. If people do want to learn more about you, where should they go?
Yeah, the what'syourhand.com is the website in the book, or you can go to thejohngarrett.com. Follow me on LinkedIn, Instagram, just trying to share more of my thought leadership and ideas and more of what we talked about, just deeper in different ways.
Excellent. We'll link to all that in the show notes, the best show notes in the business for reasons I will talk about more in a minute. But first, for those of you that are new to the Misfit Entrepreneurs, your first episode with us, welcome. It is such an honor to have you with us. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I hope you become a regular subscriber and are with us week in and week out. And speaking of those that are with us week in and week out, I cannot thank you enough for your support of the show. You are what makes this go in over 100 countries every single week. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And make sure and go out and check out the show notes for this episode. They are the best in the business. Why? Because I do them myself. As part of my personal growth routine, every single week, I go back through episodes with great guests like John, and I take my best pieces of wisdom, insights, tips, habits, things like that, and I share them with you. So check those out, and then go out and give this episode a rating and review. Like and comment on it. Help share John's message, because we all know, and I say this in every episode, one great episode can change someone's life. Maybe something that John shared today, there was that missing link that you were looking for to get to your next level. So share this with others. And again, John, thank you for coming on, sharing all your wisdom and insight today.
I appreciate it, Dave. Thank you.